The rain came early that morning, soaking the cracked sidewalks of Stafford Court like tears from a sky that already knew what was coming. It was February 26, 2024, just another cold, gray Monday in Hendersonville, Tennessee. By 7 a.m., most homes were still dark, save for the occasional porch light flickering against the mist. But inside one modest apartment at the edge of the court, a mother's screams shattered the silence. "Sebastian? Sebastian?" The boy's room was empty. Bed, still made, glasses gone, his black hoodie missing from the hook on the door, but no shoes by the door, no note, no sound. 15-year-old Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers had vanished. His mother, Evelyn, would later tell investigators she'd gone to bed around midnight, tired from work and trusting that her son, who rarely wandered due to his autism and severe anxiety, would stay inside. He didn't like the dark, she said, trembling in the early interviews. He didn't like being alone. But now the front door was slightly ajar. There were no signs of forced entry, no scuffle, no blood, just silence and that eerie stillness that follows a storm before it strikes again. By noon, the search had begun. Volunteers, neighbors, and police officers poured into the neighborhood with flashlights, scent dogs, and drones. They combed the nearby woods, drainage ditches, abandoned homes, even the lake, black and cold at the edge of town. Helicopters circled above while Evelyn's cries echoed through the trees. But Sebastian had disappeared like smoke. It didn't make sense. His medical conditions made travel difficult. He wouldn't just run. He couldn't. Someone had taken him. A week passed, then another. Tips trickled in, mostly dead ends. Then on March 12th, a call came into the local tip line. Was anonymous, and it was horrifying. A sanitation worker was emptying dumpsters off a rural service road far outside city limits. One of the bins, sealed shut with duct tape and stuffed with black contractor bags, reeked like rotting meat. When he opened it, he dropped the lid and vomited right on the pavement. Inside were what he thought were animal remains. But animals don't wear human glasses. Within hours, police cordoned off the scene. The black glasses were square-framed, broken but unmistakable. It was Sebastian. But not whole. The bags contained dismembered human remains, wrapped in layers of plastic and soaked in bleach, as if someone had tried to erase a life with cleaning fluid. The victim's identity was confirmed days later through dental records. Hendersonville had lost its innocence. The case had officially turned from a search to a homicide. News broke like wildfire. But even as outrage swelled, investigators grew frustrated. No fingerprints, no DNA, no surveillance footage. Whoever did this had been careful, methodical. But then, another twist. 2 weeks after the remains were found, a young man named Caleb Rivers, age 17, showed up at the police station. "I know what happened to Sebastian," he said. Caleb. Rivers looked like any other high schooler. Tall, thin, hoodie pulled tight over his head. His hands trembled as he sat in the small, windowless interrogation room at the Hendersonville Police Department. He'd walked in off the street, alone, no lawyer, no parent. "I need to talk," he whispered. "I can't sleep." Detectives weren't sure what to make of him. He wasn't on their radar, hadn't even known Sebastian personally or so, they thought. But then Caleb leaned forward. "I saw him that night," he said, voice cracking. "I saw Sebastian get into a white van." The detail was new, important, but why had he waited so long? He told them he'd been walking home after sneaking out, he often did to avoid his stepfather, and saw the boy standing at the corner of Stafford Court, alone, wearing black. A white van pulled up, no markings, dark windows. The passenger, door slid open. Sebastian hesitated, then stepped in. "I thought maybe it was family," Caleb said, "but then I saw someone in the back." He pushed Sebastian down. That was the moment Caleb claimed, that fear gripped him. He turned and ran, never looked back, never told a soul. Police were skeptical. Was this a real lead, or a scared teen inserting himself into a tragedy? But Caleb gave them a license plate, partial, but enough to trace. 92. It belonged to an old, beat-up Ford Econoline registered to a man named Joel Harrow, a 44-year-old former custodian with a string of minor offenses and a reputation for being off. He lived alone in a trailer about 30 miles outside town. Officers moved in. When they knocked, no one answered, but from inside came the smell, the same sickly sweet chemical rot that officers had learned to recognize. The warrant came fast. The trailer was a nightmare. Rotting food in the sink, newspapers stacked like towers, but worst of all, taped to the walls, were hundreds of photos. Most of them were of children, parks, schools, playgrounds. Many were taken from a distance, some zoomed in on faces. And in the center of a corkboard above Harrow's stained couch was Sebastian. Same black hoodie, same square glasses. The photo had been printed and circled in red marker. They found bleach in the bathroom, heavy-duty trash bags under the sink, and in a locked freezer out back, more human remains, wrapped, labeled, like meat. But Joel Harrow wasn't there. He was gone. A neighbor reported seeing him days before packing up his truck. Didn't say where he was going, the man recalled, just kept mumbling about being watched. A manhunt ensued, airports, bus stations, even border alerts, but Harrow had vanished like a shadow. With him, he took the one thing the Rogers family wanted most. Why? Caleb was cleared as a suspect. His story checked out. The van was seen on traffic cameras, but it raised more questions than answers. Why? Sebastian? Why that night? And how long had Harrow been watching? Some locals whispered that Harrow had worked briefly at Sebastian's old elementary school. Others said they'd seen him wandering near the park weeks before the boy vanished, but nothing concrete ever surfaced. No clear motive, no confirmed connection, just evil in its rawest form. Months passed. Sebastian's funeral was small, closed, casket. His mother barely spoke. His room remains untouched to this day, sheets still folded, glasses on the nightstand. Police still list Joel Harrow as wanted and dangerous. His photo is on every bulletin board in Tennessee, but there have been no credible sightings since April 2024. Some say he died in the woods. Others believe he's still out there hunting. What happened to Sebastian Rogers will never make sense. Not to his mother, not to Hendersonville, not to anyone who still believes children should be safe to sleep, to dream, to grow up. But he wasn't just forgotten. This story, his story, will never be buried. Sebastian was not trash, he was not disposable. He was light, and someone tried to snuff it out.